All right, back again with another edition of, Terminus Sports talking football. All right, let's talk about the first scrimmage, buzz around what's going on around the team. What were your insider thoughts as I fix a light?
Insider, I don't know how much of an insider we are, but general takeaways from an aggregate of kind of like looking around the websites and different talking heads. Defense won the day. I think that's pretty clear. I think offensive line probably struggled. So that's an area I know of concern for me because as the offensive line goes, so does all offense and the whole team, really. Chauncey Bowen sounds like he had a pretty good day, but I don't think we played Nate Frazier. I think we were holding some of the running backs out. Sounds like a mixed bag, but pretty overall command by Gunner and Puglisi's coming on. There was a lot of, hype and excitement out of the wide receiver room. I think Kirby came out today and said that tight ends room was a little disappointing. I don't know if that's his words exactly, but asking more out of the tight ends. Defense seemed to have won, which is not totally unexpected considering we're this early in camp. Usually defense is ahead of offense. But yeah, I think main thing is nobody got majorly hurt. I think second string offensive line turned his ankle, not in scrimmage, but maybe today. The guy backing up Bobo. But outside of that, I haven't heard of any major injuries. So I'm going to, chalk it up to a work in progress and nothing extraordinary. So what about you?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Here's the things that I've taken away from, because it was multiple sources across the internet where everyone basically said, no, this team is better than last year's team. Like, this team, even though they're young, there's something to them. There's a lot of energy. They move fast. The defense was really good. The linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties being the main thing. Dean Legge talked about, one insider said these linebackers are the shit, which I believe. I think Georgia's defense is going to be really good this year. I think they have a ton of depth. And the thing, we talked about it last recording, but it's something to kind of keep an eye on. The defensive line is really young, but Dean pointed out, it was a good point, that didn't stop Clemson in 2016. That didn't stop Alabama in 2020. So I think Georgia could be really good up front. I think this defense is really good. Also, to the point of, the offense not doing as good. There's a lot of new parts to this offense, more so than the defense. A lot of the guys on defense are returning. Obviously, defensive line's a little different, but a lot of the offensive guys, they're new. I think the holdover, like Nate Frazier didn't start. He missed some games too with injuries. The wide receivers, it's all new. Dylan Bell is probably the only wide receiver that's a starter from last year that will probably get playing time this year. And he's a gadget guy. Your offensive line, pretty much new there. Really, Gunner, he had 2 games of experience last year. Well, 1.5. So there's a lot of new parts. Probably a little bit of a philosophy change, I would think, with the offense as well. So there's a lot of changing.
You think? You think there's going to be a philosophy change in offense?
There has to be, because Gunner's different. He's a different quarterback than Carson. So just based on that, there has to be. Now, we can debate whether or not Bobo did a good job last year or not with changing the offense around Gunner with the Notre Dame game. I don't think he did. And I think that's a fair point or critique of what I just said. And I would agree with you, but that you had 3 weeks versus a whole offseason. So if the offense isn't, I don't know what word I'm looking for, not philosophize, that's not the word.
Efficient?
I wouldn't even say that, but if there isn't some sort of idea, a change to the offensive system, not the play calls, just how the offense is ran, then at some point you have to say, well, Bobo's got to go. I mean, I think that's...
Well, here's the other thing that we all got to keep in mind. As we all know, quarterback is the most important position on the field. And this guy has been in the Bobo family since, age 7 or 8 or 9 or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's something crazy.
Bobo's dad coached him, and now Bobo recruited him whenever he was at South Carolina. So there's a definite Bobo connection. If he can't make this work with his quarterback, yeah, I would say it's a problem. It's a real problem. And with his offensive line coach, because let's not make any mistake of what we're watching here. Kirby obviously has total control over the entire program. But if you've noticed, who have we brought in? Stacy Searles. He was here under Bobo and Rick, right?
On Lilly.
Lilly backing up tight ends coach. So Hartley. So we're watching a transformation into Bobo's offense, and if he can't make it work with the guy who's been in essentially his family since he was a preteen, then it's a real problem. I don't know if I'm saying preteen, if I don't know what age, but am I right about that? It's been a long time they've had Gunner.
It's been a long
Gunner's
time.
been highly recruited quarterback out of
he was going to go to South Carolina because of Bobo.
Yeah.
So
puts more pressure on Bobo, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. But, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to really phrase this because there's two things that can't be true at once. I have confidence in Bobo because of the past, but I also don't have confidence in Bobo because of what's going on right now. Like, what has happened, I would say, since 23. Because, I mean, let's be honest, that offense really wasn't really amazing in 23 either.
No, if it hadn't been for Brock Bowers and pulling out, think about how many games we won in 23 where it was Ladd McConkey, even though they were hurt. Remember how hurt they were?
They never played a snap together till
we would have lost. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, was it the Auburn game where it was like, yeah, dude. And so I just think that, anyway, we've all talked about this before, but the creativeness, I think if Georgia has a functioning offense, and I think Bobo can put it together a functioning offense that doesn't turn the ball over, and the Georgia's defense is stellar, back up to the standards, and that's the other thing Glenn Schumann talked about.
Right.
Was we didn't meet the standard last year, and I would agree with him.
Yeah.
If Georgia's defense is stellar and Bobo can put a competent offense together, could Georgia win a national championship? Yeah. I think you've got a lot more confidence. I've just seen Bobo in big games be highly predictable and very conservative, and that gives me pause. And I, as I've said on this before, I appreciate everything Bobo's done, but at a certain point, I think we would all agree Monken was a much better offense, and he did not call games conservatively. He let the guys go play, and I think Bobo's scared of that a little bit.
Well, here's why I have, and maybe it's because I was younger and I just, like Aaron Murray, Matthew Stafford, those guys I had, I see that, I have those images in my head. So I think, okay, well, really those years, that was all because of defensive problems, not the offense. Football's changed, obviously, and you needed a little bit of different offense. I have seen arguments where it's like, well, the game's evolved. Maybe it has. If that offense can show up, I don't see why Georgia couldn't win. My biggest hang-up is, like, can you win a national championship with Gunnar Stockton as your quarterback? I don't know yet. I don't know. And I know you and I argued about this in 2020. I said you could win a national championship with Stetson. It happened. But you had to have the guys around him, which was my argument. You had to have the guys around him. And not only in 21, you had the guys around him. Then 22, he took a massive leap in his progression. He became
the guy.
Quarterback. Yeah, damn good. Probably one of the best Georgia's seen since Murray. So I can see, like, I saw Stetson. I saw the ability where Georgia could win a national championship with Stetson. I saw that they could win one with JT Daniels. I never thought they could win one with Jake Fromm. And I feel like Gunnar Stockton is Jake Fromm. And that's why I've never really been a fan of him.
It's interesting. I haven't thought about that, but that's the reason I paused. But that's probably a pretty good. I mean, obviously Fromm can't run like Gunnar, but more of a game manager, distributing the ball to the playmakers. I still think, I disagree with you. I think Georgia should have won a national championship with Jake Fromm. So
yeah, well, you know why? You know why they lost though? Because when it came down to it, whenever it was time to pass the ball and make fucking plays and put shit in windows that are getting tighter in the fourth quarter, Jake Fromm couldn't do that.
Well,
pressure was
it goes back to the guys around him. And again, I mean, I hear what you're saying. It's hard, dude. you know, not at the level these guys are playing, but we both played offensive line. When they know you're going to run, it gets really tough, right? And if the whole game is reliant on the quarterback, I don't know. I would like to be in that position to where I say, hey, because of quarterback play, we didn't win a national championship. But let's face it, we ain't been there the last 2 years. It ain't all been on quarterback play the last 2 years.
See, I think it partly was on quarterback play.
Partly, yeah. You got 22 players on the field and more, but it partly goes.
Look, dude, Georgia would have made the playoffs if they didn't lose to Alabama. Carson Beck didn't have a good game that game. He didn't have a good game, so that cost you 3 in a row right there. 24, he was a turnover machine. Not a very good locker room guy. I think that's been kind of cleared out and proven.
Why do you think he was off on 2024? An interception and turnover machine. Why do you think he had no confidence in that offensive line?
No confidence.
And I think that was proven through camp.
Wide receivers weren't good enough. He's trying to be predictive.
So it goes back to what you said, the guys around him.
Yeah,
so I agree.
It takes a huge thing. But if they have the weapons that I keep hearing about in camp, then Georgia should be all right. And that's the other thing too, though I didn't say it, but that's the other thing. Who outside of Texas do you say, yeah, they have the guys to win a national championship? They have what it takes. There's no.
I don't know. I would be totally reliant on blue bloods of college football and based on last year. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't know. I know a lot of people are high on Penn State. It's the usual suspects, right? But with maybe a few advents.
Yeah, and that's the thing. None of these teams that are up there, they don't have a returning quarterback outside of Texas and Penn State.
Here's what I do know about Georgia. I think eventually we'll look at the schedule and kind of go through it. You better when Kirby has a team that is full of, as the catchphrase is, fire, energy, and passion, and he recruits as good athletes as you know that he recruits.
Yeah,
you're going to be in a fucking knife fight, and it's going to be really, really tough to beat Georgia. Now, whether or not they'll be, talented and seasoned as they were in the past, I don't know. I think this is going to be a transition year. I really do. I think this is probably I think this may be, I don't know, second or third. I have to go back through Kirby's coach. I think this may be one of the more pivotal years in Kirby's coaching career. Is this as a head coach? Is this one, because he's had so much turnover and such. Last year they didn't meet the standard. That's going around that building, dude. And so can he get the program under NIL and all the other shit that's changed in college football? Can he get the program back where he wants it to be? I think the last year was a disappointing year.
Well,
internally and externally.
The building knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we cannot have more of the same. We cannot have an offense that comes out and lays an egg in the first quarter, second quarter. We got to have a team offense that can. That's the other thing that I will tell you gives me concern when I hear Kirby speak, and I know that obviously what he's saying is absolutely correct. But it seems to me like we play for third down. We play for on offense. Our whole mentality is to keep it less than third and 5.
3rd and 5.
Yes. That's our whole thing. And I'm sure I'm wrong. I'm sure there's an emphasis on explosive plays. But if you remember under Monken, it was not, we faced third downs, but we weren't playing for third downs. We were going to hit y'all for, you know what I mean? And that's a completely different mind shift. And I hope that's translated, because we have got to have more explosive plays and quit playing for third down.
Well, go back and look at games where Georgia dominated under Monken. I would say 21-22 that window. Look at how many third downs they faced, and then look at the yardage on third down, what it was. It's usually going to be 3rd and 3 or less most of the time. There wasn't a lot of 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 10s.
We faced a lot of those last year.
Faced a lot of them. A lot. And, hey, in 23, same thing. They were one of the best teams on third down. Well,
What bailed us out? Lad McConkey and
Brock
Bowers.
Bowers, yeah. Whenever you have dudes in space, yeah, that's what happens. And Georgia didn't have that last year, and they were one of the worst teams in the SEC on third down. But we digress. That thing is topsy-turvy, and I think that's the dumbest stat ever because it doesn't really mean anything.
That if you play for third downs, that is a meaningful stat. But I would say, yeah, quit playing for fucking third.
Plus yards. Explosive plays of 20-plus yards or more, that's the stat that I care about.
And so it brings us back to the offense, which was behind. Offensive line takes a while to gel, as we all know. But if the offensive line can consistently move people and we can run the ball the majority of the time when the other team knows we're going to run it, and then when we choose not to run it, do play action and get some of these talented I know, very simplistic view of offense. I get that. But that's what's been missing from this offense. And it's been very frustrating. So I'm hopeful, but when I hear offensive line play was down, I'm not, and I don't have a whole lot of confidence in Stacey Searles, as I've said before. I just don't.
Well, last thing on this. I'm not into panic mode at all. I wouldn't, if you're listening to this and you made it 19 minutes in, I wouldn't go into panic mode because Georgia's offense is going to be awful. Like you said at the very beginning, it takes a while. This offensive line, there's a lot of new parts to it. I even after the second scrimmage and they say, hey, wasn't as good as it could have been, still not going to panic. Really, the proof is in the pudding whenever we play Tennessee. It's going to take a game or two. You're just going to have to get your teeth knocked in a little bit, see how this goes. But I'm not too worried about how the offense is going to look through camp because it's going to take until game one and then probably past that point to where you're saying, okay, Georgia's offense is decent or bad, however you want to make your critique of it. It's going to take a game or two with how much new there is. So I'm not too worried about it. And the great thing is with this, once the season starts, the offense should be ahead of the defenses the first couple of games. Should.
I would say after week one, getting real game experience, that's huge for an offense.
Tackling is always a problem in week one, in college at least.
Yeah. No, I would say after week one, we kind of will know. I mean, regardless of the score, it's more about the execution. We should know what we have, whether I've always felt that way. After first game, regardless of the opponent, you'll kind of know a little bit of where this team is.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's break down the season, the schedule. You can't see me, right? We're on a new platform, so it's a little janky.
I can see you.
You can see me? I don't know if anyone else wants to see me. All right. So the first two games, 3:30 games in Athens, Marshall and Austin Peay. I don't know. I mean, both games you should out-athlete them. Hopefully no injuries. Though, I would take a note, Marshall did beat Notre Dame.
How long ago? Last year?
Was it? No, was it?
Was it first game?
Was that last year when Marshall beat Notre Dame? I thought it was 2 years ago.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Marshall's a real program, but to your point, those should be 2 W's. We're at home, and we got better athletes. Those should be tune-up games. So 2 wins right there.
You're right. It was 2022 when Marshall beat them, Notre Dame. All right, then you go on the road. In Knoxville, 3:30. I thought it was a night game, that pays well for us, I guess. It's going to be loud. It's going to be the first SEC game Tennessee plays. Don't know anything about the quarterbacks. Defense is all new because they had a very veteran defense last year, if you remember. So, and Sampson's gone, right? The running back for Tennessee. There's a lot of question marks. There's more question marks on Tennessee than there are Georgia. I would imagine Georgia's somewhere 10-point to 17-point favorite, right?
No, not on the road, bro.
I mean, okay.
They're favored for sure, but I can't imagine them being favored by double digits on the road at Knoxville, but I could be wrong.
I can see them being that. I can see it being tough. I think Georgia should go in there and win. I don't know. I know a lot of people are talking about that game being the one where Tennessee could get them, but that's always a talk with Tennessee fans. So I don't know. I'm not really that scared.
I don't, again, I don't, like you said, I don't know what Tennessee has really, but I know they've lost their quarterback, Nico.
Yeah.
I know there was a ton of disruption in the locker room. I know they did lose a lot of guys off because I think outside of Georgia, they got a lot of guys, one of the most drafted defenses since Georgia won the national championship. It was a lot of guys drafted off that defense.
Yeah, they had a
So
lot of. They were very.
they
better.
lost a lot. I am nervous about having a young team going into Knoxville afternoon game. I don't know if that matters. It's still tough to play in Knoxville at 3:30.
Yeah.
I expect Georgia to win that. I don't know what the point spread is yet, but I would not take them to cover it. I know that, regardless of what the point. I think it's going to be a knife fight, and if we get out of there with a win,
I could see this being a knife fight, one where you grit your teeth a little bit. A lot of early bumps and bruises to get through the start of a hell of a SEC schedule.
especially home schedule.
It doesn't let up till November. It's a tough one. So anyway, we both think Georgia beats Tennessee, right?
Yes.
All right. Then we have a bye. Then, just like last year, had a bye. Went to Tuscaloosa. This time, Alabama comes to Sanford Stadium, 7:30 prime time. Athens will be on fire for this one. It's the first time Alabama's been to Athens since 2015 in the rain. Kirby Smart was
I remember that one.
a measuring stick game, and we were well short of the stick. That kind of changed the program around.
I think that's what ultimately got Mark Richt fired, by the way. That game.
I do too. Sitting in the rain.
Fan base turned.
Yeah, getting just shellacked. I don't know. We talk about this every time Georgia plays Alabama, but when is Georgia finally going to beat Alabama? Obviously, they did it in the national championship. If there was any time to beat Alabama, this year would be the time to do it. Not a lot of returning guys on defense, new quarterback, talented. I think he's a 5-star, Ty Simpson, which is great, but I think they're probably on level as us. So now's the time to beat them. I don't know.
Yep.
Either it's a bugaboo or not. I don't. At this point, I've kind of given up on it.
I think it's a bugaboo. I don't know what it is about Bama, but until we're able to beat Bama, I'm going to pick Bama at home against Georgia. I think they're going to beat us. And sorry, all the Georgia fans that can say whatever, but put your money where your mouth is. Quit talking shit. They whipped our ass. The only time we've ever won is a national championship, and I'm thankful for it. But they got our number, and they're coming to our house. And if they embarrass us, and based on previous history, Alabama has our number. So I'm gonna take Alabama, and I'm gonna say that's Georgia's first loss. I think it's just gonna be too big of a moment for a lot of these guys. The hype, like you said, is gonna be crazy. I imagine ESPN Game Day is gonna be there, and I think a lot of these guys that are first-time players are gonna start hearing the moment, and it's gonna. I hope I'm wrong, clearly, but until we beat Alabama, I'm betting on Alabama as much as I'm a Georgia fan, and I 100% want to lose. So there's my prediction. If I'm betting on Alabama, I want to fucking lose.
Okay. I'll slow there. Sorry. I don't know. I mean, I want to say Georgia wins. I think it sets up where Georgia should win. I can see a world where Georgia goes in there and just bitch slaps Alabama. I could see it.
I could too. I could see it the other way around too.
Where we have a nice, comfortable lead going into the fourth quarter, then all of a sudden it's tied up. There's like 30 seconds left on the clock, and Alabama hits a field goal at the end, just letting air out of a balloon.
Just taking the heart and the knife in the heart and just twisting it a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. What should we do? Heads or tails, you call it.
I've already told you my prediction. I pick Alabama.
Okay, well, just to go opposite, I'll say win. Here's the thing. I've given up so much where it doesn't even matter. It just looks like any other game to me at this point. I don't know if that makes sense.
It doesn't feel that way to me. I still feel like we have got to put the nail in the coffin of the Alabama program. I agree with you, everything you said. If we're going to do it, we're at home. They don't have returning starter. They're a lot like us in terms of all that, new coach. Now's the time. If we're going to establish who the fuck we are in the SEC, but I just don't know, based on history, that Georgia's going to be able to do it. And until they do it, if I were a betting man, I don't know what the point spread is going to be, but I would take Alabama and take the points.
Yeah. You know what? Just to be contrarian, I'll say Georgia. I think it's a perfect time to do it. If you're going to do it now. So, why not? All right, next game. We spent too much on Alabama. This is a Tolbert special for me. Noon, kickoff, Kentucky, October. Hopefully good weather. Georgia should roll. I don't know if they'll make a bowl this year. I don't think they're. We'll talk about that next week when we do our SEC predictions and then playoff predictions. I think Kentucky stinks. I think they stink. I don't think they're going to be any good at all.
Well, if your assumptions are correct, I would say fan base is pissed at Mark Stoops, and I can't really blame them. If they come in and get a shellacking, which they're coming to us, right?
Yeah.
I think that could happen, but Stoops plays a brand of football that Kirby kind of respects and doesn't want to run up the point spread. So I believe Georgia handles this easily. I think Kentucky football, for whatever reason, if Stoops lost, sort of, we're going back in history, sort of like Rick. He's lost his ability where his message has sort of the credibility of it, the impact is sort of left. I think the luster's off him, and I think Kentucky's in trouble, and I think they're going to get their ass kicked, and I think Georgia wins, and I would take one of the rare occasions I'd take Georgia and give up the points.
Yeah, I think Georgia rolls. All right, the next week. This one, there's going to be a lot of hype around it. It's Auburn, at night, in Jordan-Hare. There's going to be a lot of hype. Now, a lot of Auburn people are saying this is the year that they're finally going to get Georgia. Very well could. It's at night. It's at Jordan-Hare. Those two factors scare me. The football team that plays at Jordan-Hare, not so much. Given that Georgia played already at Tennessee, which is about the same level of loud to me as Jordan-Hare, Georgia should be able to handle business. I think they're more talented than Auburn. I think they have a better coach than Auburn. We'll say, though, Hugh Freeze has some sort of crutch against Kirby.
That's what I was about to say is if any of the coaches, I put Hugh Freeze against Kirby having more success than I would Lane Kiffin, Sarkisian, any of these other guys. He has Kirby's numbers. He's able to not out-scheme him, but he's able to match wits with Kirby fairly well. And if he gets the athletes and he gets that juice going in Jordan-Hare, that could be a dangerous friggin' game.
Yeah.
But I just based on the talent, program, all those things, I have to put and the maturity that Georgia's going to gain. To your point of these other games they played in, I just find it hard to fathom where Auburn's going to beat Georgia, even with Hugh Freeze. I think he does have Kirby's number a little bit. Like if he's got the talent, he can scheme up an offense that can beat Kirby's defense. I do. And get it explosive enough. So I would say Auburn's a team that we're going to have to watch in the coming years if they don't get dissatisfied with Hugh Freeze and he doesn't.
Well, here's the thing: they keep
calling up services on his phone.
He's playing golf too much, and he's not recruiting. I mean, their recruiting numbers for next year's class is god awful. So, I don't know. I know this team is supposed to be Auburn people. The insiders are saying this team is the best Hugh Freeze has ever had at Auburn, which isn't really high of a benchmark. So, does that mean they finally make a bowl game? I don't know what that means.
I don't know. I think Hugh Freeze is good. If he can keep his...
I think he's a retard, personally. I hate Hugh Freeze. I think he's a phony.
Personally, he's a retard. But as far as X's and O's and an offensive coordinator, I think he's a good college offensive coordinator. I don't know if he's a head coach, but he's a good offensive coordinator.
I think he's too big of a retard. I could see it going sideways. I could see it going sideways really fast. But given the maturity of Georgia at this point, I think this will win. I can't believe I'm looking at the schedule and have Georgia undefeated this far into it. I am drinking the Kool-Aid, baby. Yeah, that's bad.
They should beat Auburn, though. If we don't win that game, you can forget, honestly, if Georgia drops that game, we're in trouble when it comes to the playoff, regardless of the rest of the season, because those are the types of games you got to win. You got to win those to be a playoff team. Would you agree?
I totally agree. You got to win hard night games on the road in the SEC. That's just how it works. All right. Then the next week, Ole Miss coming to Athens. It could be a afternoon 3:30 game, or it could be a 7 to 7:30, 8 o'clock game. I would imagine probably with Ole Miss's schedule, it could be a night game. I think Ole Miss, they're being undervalued right now. I think that quarterback that they had, he played a drive against Georgia and looked fucking unbelievable. I forget his name. He's like,
fuck, your 2-year-old daughter could have looked good against Georgia that game.
I think Ole Miss is being extremely undervalued. I think Georgia should win. I think this is a bit of a revenge factor here. You have them on the road. Kirby doesn't like Lang talking all that shit. I think there's going to be a statement made there. Plus, you got a bye week before Florida, so you better get right here.
I didn't mean to step on your toes. Go ahead, sir.
I think this is where Georgia wins. I think this is a big change, a statement into the season that Georgia's forced to be reckoned with, because they really got 3 more games left that are challenging, and if they win 1 out of the 3, they're in the playoffs.
Here's what I would say. If any of the talk about standard, pride in the program, fire, energy, passion, if any of that means a fucking thing, and it's going to carry over into this heart deep into the season, if guys really are buying into that, this is the game to put an ass whipping on Ole Miss. They're coming to our house, probably to your point, at night. They embarrassed us. It was embarrassing, honestly. Yeah. It was embarrassing last year in fucking Oxford, Mississippi, for God's sake. And so now it's our time to put an ass whipping on them. And I think that's exactly regardless of what happens in the Auburn game, I think this is going to be, if we lose the Auburn game, I think it's even going to be more so that Lane Kiffin's going to feel the fucking fury of the University of Georgia. I don't see any way that Ole Miss wins this game. So
neither.
I think it's a Georgia win.
Yeah. All right, bye week. Then the biggest week of them all in the football season, at the very least. Biggest week to me in all of the year. Georgia, Florida. It's last year in Jacksonville for at least 2 more years. I know a lot of people, including Josh Pate, are very excited about Florida. That's wonderful. That's great. It's awesome. DJ Lagway, a lot of hype. Outside of that, I can't tell you anything else about Florida. I know Florida people are really excited about their season. I think they suck, and I think they're going to continue to suck. And by the way, I think Billy Napier is way in over his head at Florida. I don't think this program is where it needs to be, or where they think they are at, or where they want to be. I know last year they hung in there for a little bit with us, and that was because Carson Beck took a massive shit on the 50-yard line. I think Georgia rolls in this one. Not really worried about it. Hit me up in November, though. I might be a little bit more worried about it. But Georgia should handle business and should beat Florida, and we move on.
A lot of the points I would agree with. I don't know all the personnel that Florida has. I know they have not been recruiting at the level that Georgia has. Secondly, and most importantly, usually when a coach comes in, he's going to put his stamp on the program early, and it's going to be that way. And unless it works differently for Napier, I don't think he didn't come in to undiscipline us, not being cohesive as a coaching staff, having people line up with the wrong jerseys. I know that's been years ago and people, whatever. But if you don't come in and have your shit together at a major university, even though I think the players like him and they fought for him last year and saved his fucking job and they did better, I think he's probably a great guy. But I just don't know if they're going to have the athletes and the professional organization, the fucking institution that it's going to take to beat Georgia. I think Florida is a ways away from that. I agree with you. I was kind of a fan of Napier because I thought he might be a good coach. But whenever I saw how long it took him to kind of establish himself at Florida, and only 4 games into last year, did you see guys playing with fire, energy, and passion because I
It
knew the
was
coach was
further
about to
than
be.
that. It was basically when they were about to fire his ass.
Yeah, it
There were
was. It
guys
was.
quitting at the beginning of the year. Remember that A&M game where the guy quit mid-play?
And there was evidently the donors were getting together and what it would take. I hear all that, and I don't think that Billy. I think he is in over his head, and so short answer is I don't see Florida beating us. Not this year. They're several years away. They're back on the. I think Napier, to his credit, has done a better job than any of the other fucking coaches that has been there since they fired Meyer. So, but I just don't think that he's going to be able to pull together the athletes to beat Georgia.
I don't either. All right, next week they play Mississippi State at noon on the road, Mississippi State. I don't know how many people will be there. I think there might be more Georgia fans than Miss State fans.
Starkville is a vacation.
Yeah, it's Star Vegas. Nice, comfy place. Yeah, I don't know, dude. Mississippi State and Kentucky might be vying for the 16th spot in the SEC standings. Not good. So
I don't even want to spend a whole lot of time talking. I can't imagine a scenario unless, like Vince Dooley said, they play on a flat field that night. So I can't imagine where Mississippi State beats Georgia. So I got them winning this easily.
Yeah. All right. So the next game, big game, probably at night in Sanford Stadium. The Texas Longhorns, the next Alabama that has been, they've been crowned the next Alabama, the next dynasty. I don't know. I know they have a lot of talent, and I know they're the media darlings, but I haven't seen Arch Manning play that much, and the times I did, I saw Jalen Walker butt fuck him. So with that being said, I think Georgia does. I'm not scared of Texas. I'm not scared of Steve Sarkisian. I don't think he's that good of a coach. I think he's a great offensive coordinator. Not a good head coach. I have Georgia. I don't know. You spot the ball and make the point spread. I don't really care. Texas sucks.
All right. Well, I'm going to have the opposite opinion just because I'm going to use the same analogy, and I think it's true. We fucked them twice last year. Once we embarrassed them at home. Yeah. And I think them coming into Athens, they're going to have the same mentality. I think Arch Manning, given his genetics, is going to be, maybe depending on what your expectations are of the kid, I think he's going to be really good. And we know he's going to be competent. And I think Sarkisian's a good coach. I think Texas gets us at home, and I got Georgia losing by a field goal.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you do. Texas, I'm just telling you now.
Am I scared of them? Fuck no. But I do think
Texas. I don't think Texas runs the SEC. They have a.
I don't think any of that.
They have a really easy schedule. They'll probably be undefeated. It'll be the first time they play a real team, and when they get.
They get the high profile and with national media. Now we're getting close to the end of the year, and all this matters. So now Georgia's what? We got 2 losses.
You have 2 losses with them. I still have Georgia undefeated.
All right.
Kool-Aid. Georgia's going to slap them in the mouth because it's time to play real football. They don't. They play basketball and grass. It's really cute until you play a real team, and that's what happens. And I'm sure Texas fans, they'll complain about the refs because that's the only thing that kept them in that game with our incompetent offense, and we still hung up 30 on their fucking ass. So, fuck you. Take your ass whooping.
I think you hate Texas almost as much as you hate Florida.
I hate Texas. Now since they're in the SEC, I hate them on the same level as Florida. I
don't have that level of vitriol yet.
I have dealt with Texas fans way too long. I think they are the most arrogant, stupid fan base.
I don't know about most, but for not winning much, they have a high opinion of themselves. I agree with that.
They're retarded. And they're soft. By the way, there is a soft program. So.
Well, it seems to me like they have a bunch. I don't want to criticize, but I'm going to evidently. But passive fans, like if you live in Texas, you just happen to be a Texas fan because they have the nicest fucking ensemble that you can get, the clothes and the hats and it's like, okay, well, what the fuck do you know? I don't. But nonetheless, I still haven't beaten Georgia at home, so I stick by that.
Honestly, if that happens, I'll say the season is a disappointment. And no world.
I won't.
Georgia should.
We're in a new era of college football. Grow up. We're not playing against. We're playing a much bigger scheme here. We're playing chess, bro. Can't worry about Texas.
Well, I don't want to lose to Texas in no world. So I fucking hate Texas. The whole state could go away and I wouldn't care.
I will.
Charlotte, I don't know if Biff Piogi or whatever the hell his name is still coaching there. I guess that's a win. We got to focus on the next week. I think you have Georgia winning that one as well. Friday, still on Black Friday, you play Tech at Mercedes-Benz, the Invesco QQQ Atlanta Gridiron Classic, not to be confused with Clean Old Fashioned Hate. That's out the window. I think there will be more Georgia fans. Oh, by the way, it's the afternoon 3:30 game. Doesn't really matter. It'll look like nighttime because they're playing in the dome.
We can't open that.
No. Measurements are wrong. I don't know. I can definitely see a world where Georgia loses to Tech.
I can too. I don't think they will.
No.
I think they'll beat them, but I think it's going to be a fucking dogfight. And I am actually one of the first times probably in a decade.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued and excited to see Georgia and Georgia Tech after 8 overtimes last year. Right? And so
very interested. And hey, people are taking Tech as the dark horse to make the playoffs.
I'm telling you right now, I didn't know that, but I'm telling you right now, I'm looking at the competition ACC. Yeah, okay, Clemson. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. And then you got Miami, and outside of that, who? I think Tech and the way he coaches, and they got that quarterback coming back. I'm a believer, man. I think Tech could probably sneak up and bite some people, but I don't think they're going to bite Georgia.
See, here's the thing, and I think, and this is, I've been keeping an eye on it since 2020 when Brent Key got the interim job. Tech, their season was done already by that point, and they hung it with Georgia, who won the national championship. They hung with us for a half. It was fairly impressive.
He coaches the right way, I got to tell you.
He got me pissed off. Tech pissed me off just enough to where I started to care a little bit in the third quarter, and then, I relaxed after that. Then 23, that was a tight game for a little bit, right? And then toward the third quarter again, Georgia pulled away. And then last year you had the 8 overtimes. I think that was their best chance to beat Georgia, right?
Yeah. Surprised them, Georgia down year. Yeah.
That was your best chance and probably one of your best teams, and you blew it. And I just don't know if Tech can meet that moment, because if Tech is going in there with playoff hopes on the line, ACC championship, talking about that, flirting with that, holy shit, I have Georgia undefeated. So I'll call 11-1. Somewhere in there they lose. But I can see them just wilting like a big fat flower.
I agree with everything you said. I like the way Brent Key coaches. I think his teams are built the right way. I don't think they have the talent. And when the bright lights are on, are they actually going to be able to cross the finish line? I don't think they are. I don't think they have that yet. But for the first time, it's relevant. Georgia Tech's relevant, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good for the rivalry. And look,
soft flat for Tech.
You have Tech too. That game's going to feel way more elevated than what it should be because it's on primetime Friday after Thanksgiving inside Mercedes-Benz, and it's going to be way more Georgia fans than there are Tech, obviously. It's going to feel a lot more elevated than it usually has in the past, especially if both teams are, playoff teams.
And I will tell you, I think you and I talked about this maybe during last year, but I like the idea that it's on a Friday, right?
Yeah, it gives it
after
a little
Thanksgiving. Yeah, and I think that could be. And if they play it, if this is a good game, I think that could be one of the games that everybody tunes into, sort of like the Egg Bowl for different reasons. But it's one of those games after Thanksgiving when you're eating your turkey sandwich, you could tune into and watch some good football. I think Georgia and Georgia Tech with Brett Keys I think that could happen. So I think it's interesting. I don't think Tech, they're not going to surprise us this year. Kirby. He realizes how important that is. And if he thinks these players are sleeping on that fucking game, they're going to be ready this year.
Yeah. Out of all the teams outside of Florida, Tech is probably number 2.
Yeah.
For Kirby.
It's funny, too. He grew up in the same era I did. And I would you don't ever want to lose to Tech, man.
Well, no. It's fucking annoying. It's so embarrassing to lose to Tech with the resources we have compared to them. It's what I said to you during the game.
Yes. And you're 125% correct. So, yeah. There's no way a Tech program...
It's embarrassing that it took that long to finish them off.
we didn't have the standard last year. That was echoed by the coaches, so I'm glad to see they recognized it.
All right, well, you have Georgia 10-2. That's good enough. So if we were playing old school football, that'd be 11-1. I have Georgia 11-1, which I know I talked every single one where it was a win.
Yeah, I'm undefeated. You didn't have them losing to anybody. You came up with 11-1.
Hey, you know what? We'll lose the
Austin Peay game.
Yeah. No, we'll lose. I could lose to Auburn. That's okay. But then that would mean something for the rivalry.
10-2, Georgia gets in, and I know we haven't talked about this, but we get in, we're going to play Texas again. I like our chances in the playoffs against Texas because it's going to be the median darlings, and we just take their soul. So that's my whole setup for the year, by the way.
Oh, okay. Wow, this is a nice dream scenario you got going. All right, well, we've talked for 53 minutes, so we're going to get out of here. But remember to like and subscribe. We'll come back, talk about the second scrimmage that happens this weekend, do SEC predictions about teams, where they shake up, and we'll also do a playoff prediction show. And then that Saturday, week 0, Kansas State, Iowa State. Fun fact for you, Kansas State has their equipment truck, and they're driving to Ireland.
Wow, they've learned new physics.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that tweet, look it up. It's pretty funny. Anyway, all right, remember to like and subscribe. Follow us on all socials, Twitter, X, Instagram, TikTok, on Terminus Sports _ATL, and we will see you on the other side.
See ya.